Oh my gosh, so the light is terrible in my house at the moment for filming, but I'm in the process of fixing that up. But I wanted to make this because over the last week or so, I've been listening to a couple of real good podcasts. And I listened to Roseanne Barr and Tucker Carlson last week on the Roseanne Barr podcast. And I also have been listening to a few other podcasts that are a little bit more of that kind of thing. And I just want to say this. So nice to hear robust conversation again. So nice to hear people not dance around and try and be politically correct about stuff. So I don't know. I don't know a lot. I used to watch Roseanne back in the day in her show. And I used to love it. It used to be funny. And I do know there was some controversy and she got cancelled somewhere along the line. But you know what? She's back. And she seems to be back without fear. So I don't know. I know a few people in my life that I've witnessed lose everything, be taken to the cleaners. I know a few that have been put in jail for saying things and speaking their mind. And the thing that happens to them is when they've got nothing left to lose and they come back out of that, it's like they jump out of the cage and they're free and they just don't give a shit about anything because, hey, they've had everything taken away from them. Does that make sense? But anyway, I wanted to talk about this Roseanne Barr podcast. And what it's done for me is taken me back to earlier times in my life where there was robust conversation, where we'd sit around and we'd discuss, and I don't know, these days it would be called to argue, but not, discuss things and talk about stuff and be in rooms and talk with people who didn't just act like us, be like us, believe like us. We didn't shut ourselves off with groups of people like us, where the conversation was real and it got heated. Now, I'm not saying we need to have heated conversations, but over the last, 10 years and even 5 years, holy shit, people are censoring themselves in conversations with their friends, with their family. They aren't talking about stuff. Everyone's just wishy-washy, a washed out version of not upsetting people. And I just think, man, this whole generation of kids growing up now aren't going to know what a robust conversation is. And I believe they don't, because everyone's so busy expressing themselves and what they feel is upsetting to them. I don't even know the point of the video. I just wanted to discuss that. Do you find there aren't any robust conversations happening in your life right now? Are you centering yourself with people who are just like you, or are you in places where there are people who aren't like you but you're too scared to express yourself? I've come out of a couple of years of doing that. Even though I've found myself and I've found different aspects of myself, I still found that I was in places where I could only talk about that aspect of myself in that room, and I didn't dare to talk about anything. Or if people said something about, I don't know, take meditation for example. If people said anything against meditation, I shut my mouth and didn't talk about it. I didn't offer up my version of meditation and, how that has helped me and how I do it and how it works, and how perhaps some of the things that they were saying, I could take that on board, but also could they take on board some of the things that I was saying? Could we soften each other's edges a little bit by sharing the information? This is what I do. And this person was talking about people being crackpots and crazy and, but I didn't feel comfortable to do it, so I didn't do it. I didn't offer up any robust conversation because I felt like it wasn't the right time or the right place. But when is it the right time or the right place? I wouldn't have been saying that person was wrong, but I could have offered up my absolute lived knowledge and wisdom of this is what I've discovered and this is what I do and this is how I do it, for them to see a different point of view. Not to change their mind, not to poison their mind with, but just to offer them up a different point of view. It's like when the vaccines were happening, and I knew for 3 months that I was going to lose my job because I chose not to vaccinate. And I had a lot of people come through, and I was working at a supermarket talking about the people who didn't vaccinate and the dickheads and the this and the that. I don't know if I can say that word. and the crazy people and the granny killers and the selfish people and whatever. And I just let that be a thing until it wasn't a thing. And I thought, hang on, that's cool and that's your opinion. But then I started to say, I'm losing my job in a couple of weeks because I've chosen not to vaccinate. And then people would sort of pull back and say, I wasn't, good on you and all that sort of thing. I wasn't even doing it to change their minds either. But it was such an uncomfortable thing that it was an us and them thing. I got too frightened to say what was happening to me because I didn't want people to, I don't know, I got ridiculed enough as it was. I didn't want to get ridiculed anymore. And I wasn't telling them that they were wrong, but I wanted to point out that the people who weren't vaccinating weren't stupid people and selfish people. They were real people that were probably serving you your coffee and your supermarket, helping you at the supermarket. They were probably people who were cutting your hair. They were probably that policeman that was turning up to help you when you were in trouble, that ambulance person that came to you when you had a heart attack. These were the people who were not vaccinating for all sorts of reasons. And I didn't share that because I didn't feel like I could. And now I'm thinking we need robust conversations. We need to stop letting some of the stuff that's happening in our society, some of the, let's say, television, news, selected things, come out and tell us what sort of people are doing this and what sort of people are doing that, because quite often that's actually not the truth. I don't know if that makes sense. But listening to Roseanne last week brought all that back. I'm not sharing my stuff on here to change your mind or tell you you're wrong or that I'm right or any of those things. I'm offering up my lived knowledge, which is wisdom. I'm offering you up my perspective on anything, and I'm happy to share, for you to share your perspective with me. And I'm happy for us sometimes to decide that neither of us is right, wrong, or indifferent. We're both doing what's right for us, right? It's not about changing people's minds, but it's about talking honestly about things in a nice, robust conversation and sharing different points of view that sometimes will cement your opinion, your point of view. Sometimes it will add to it. Sometimes it will expand your knowledge and it might change. I've changed so many positions in my life over the last 7 or 8 years of things that I held strong to me for 45 years or 40 years that are now not even important, or that are different, or that are the complete opposite, or that are expansions of what I used to think or believe or do or whatever. I don't believe that by hanging around with all people that are the same thinking as us helps us to evolve or grow or expand or anything. I believe, yes, we do need to hang with people that get us and that understand us and whatever, but I think that if we put ourselves in that window of only sharing our experiences with people who are the same as us, we don't get to walk into the life that we perhaps, are here for, to see other people's perspectives, to become full, to become lots of things. So I just wanted to put that out there because, like I said, the robust conversation is gone. It's been eradicated, but we are the ones who can bring it back by not wanting to be the one who's always right or the one with the last word, but just wanting to share our opinion with somebody else and listen intently to somebody else's opinion, even if it's differing to ours, and letting that be how we communicate and whatever. And like I said, if we have to shake hands at the end and say, hey, I'm going to agree to disagree with you, but man, I loved that conversation. I'd love to have another conversation with you. Or, do you know what I mean? If we can be friends when we are on opposing sides and can come together with our love for humanity, if we can get in rooms with people that we don't agree with and listen intently and then have that as food for thought about their side and our side and all the things, and let that just meld, which is my favourite word, meld together. I think that's the way forward for us, for our world. I think that sitting in our own opinions and only being with people who have the same opinions as us is going to lead us into more of what we've had over the last few years, which is division and us coming together with people only like us. And if you have one thing that I disagree with, I'm not going to be your friend and I'm not going to talk to you and I'm not going to whatever. And I think that's just going to give us more war and more disharmony and more of us getting further and further away from what humanity is actually after, which is us coming together. If we can come together on our sameness, if we can just, we're all human beings, we all have opinions and we all have lives and we all have different reasons that we're here. And we all reach different people and we can all encourage and help everybody else. We don't all have to agree. We don't all have to be the same colour. We don't all have to be the same race. We don't all have to speak the same language. The language of love is universal. The language of kindness is universal. The language of a smile speaks. So, with all that said, I don't know, robust conversation. What do you think? Have you had many of those lately? Would you like some of those? What do you think about it all? I'd love to know. Leave something in the comments. Love you. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.